Hello, welcome back to City Planner Plays, where we are building the city of Verde Beach, and we have what appears to be a never-ending line of hot dog vans and donut trucks and bug spray vehicles. Don't forget about those. So today we're going to start on the first of our series of transit builds, but I can't begin on that until I resolve our cargo issues and the issues I created at this particular interchange. And you can see that things are really backing up. They're backing up all over the place, and there are a number of reasons for that. First and foremost, this is a really bad configuration, and we need to think about where this connects to. Can we reach every single cargo hub in a logical fashion with this particular cargo hub? And I don't think that we can right now. So obviously, no problem reaching this one. But then we come over here, we go down. So if we were to take this track, we could go this way, which would loop us down here. So we can get here, that's no problem. And we could take this track, which would get us to this side of the airport, or to this hub right here. You'll notice that these are backing each other up. And if you wanted to come through this way, which might be the faster route to get to the airport, you can't do that. That movement is missing. So we need to add that movement. And because right now, the other movement that's a little bit fraught is, it'd be nice to not have to back up into this and maybe even just go straight through here to get over here. So that's a movement that we need to add. So we're gonna think about that. But first, we're gonna completely reimagine this. I broke one of my cardinal rules when I built this. So the highway is an arterial. It's meant for regional transportation across long distances with limited access. But I have directly connecting into this a local road. We talked about roadway hierarchy on a number of occasions, and the classification hierarchy that you should be following should be arterial, collector, local road. And the local road has a whole bunch of traffic dumping right onto it, being confused, backing up. Now, that's not causing all of the problems. That's not everything. We have a number of other issues as well. You can see that this backup starts well beyond this particular junction, and not all because of this particular cargo hub. Another issue that I created was over here, and I made a couple of bonehead moves. So first of all, we have these ramps, nonsensical ramps. So we have right here a ramp going in. That movement already exists right here. So there's no reason to have it twice. So we have that movement in here twice. Same thing over here. And we could be a whole heck of a lot more space efficient with this as well. Maybe first and foremost, I need to get this going counterclockwise. So let's fix that first. So I've got this going in a whole bunch of different directions. I think that was the number one comment I received in the last video, and unsurprising that it was. it's a real bad situation. So I could imagine that would impact routing a whole bunch. People needing to go really circuitous routes to get to places that aren't that far away. And I talked a lot about the crosses in the last episode, using crosses in here to keep your roundabouts nice and round. And I didn't do that, and I'm paying the price now. So I'm gonna have to redo this roundabout. We'll keep the crosses in. Okay, now that we have this back to where it should be, one thing that we might want to do is just continue to leave this as a dirt road. We'll get it all fixed up later. Now we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. And what we're doing is we're buying space at this point. So this will allow us to make Myrtle City Park bigger and maybe appease the gods. And hopefully then we'll be in a spot where we can expand this a little bit in the future. Okay, so now we're in a little bit better spot with this. I think we can start upgrading and getting these all going in the right direction. Okay, we're in a spot where it's all correct this time, which is a good thing. something I didn't check last time, and I'm very, very, very regretful of. So this isn't perfect, and boy, we've got some lumpies and bumpies to contend with. Maybe we'll make a couple of fixes. This is what happens when you don't respect the topography. When I built this roundabout, I don't think I did a very good job of leveling. And by not doing a good job, I mean, I don't think I considered it at all. And now we're paying the price. And it's a steep price to pay. All right, so now I think we're all in the right direction. Let's run this and see how it works. We can take a look at this. And what you can see right off the bat, this is very steep. Obviously, the approach to a roundabout, we'd like to have good sight distances, if at all possible. We don't really have that there. You're coming in and you're approaching a hill to get to that roundabout. That wouldn't be ideal. But at this point, that's not what I want to focus on today. I want to just get this thing working. And working it is. It looks pretty darn good. Now, I am going to use the power of YouTube to turn off the night cycle because we're about to head to night. There we go. Just don't want this to become a nighttime build. Not right now anyway. Maybe in the future. But you can see that we've freed up a lot of space here, and I'm very happy about that. In fact, I kind of wish we would have done more here, getting the railroad track closer. But that might be a future project because right now, that's not what we're concerned about. We're concerned about this wonkiness happening here. So what we're actually going to do, first of all, I'm going to take a look at our routes. And these aren't coming from where I thought they might be. So that's unfortunate. A lot of them are coming from this industrial area, interestingly. And they're coming over here. So this particular area is just really heavy with traffic. Here, you can see that there were some movements that were being obstructed, and that'll probably help. They'll use Kellerhouse now, which will be helpful, but there's still a heck of a lot of traffic going down Hemlock Way, Hemlock Highway. We will rename that at some point in the future. Kind of a crushing amount of traffic. It does appear that it's cleaning up a little bit, and I'm wondering, if we speed this up, will we see some improvements? Easy answer, no. We will not see any improvements. So let's give this all some more thought. We're going to pause it for a second, and I'm going to start calling some significant mulligans. This is a really unfortunate situation, but I think that it's so incredibly broken that we need to completely rethink this in a fairly significant way. There we go, clean palette. Let's get going. So the very first thing I want to do is I want to create another interchange, or another side of the highway of this interchange, very similar to the one that we created in the last build. And the very first thing I'm going to do is build a collector off from here. Very good. So we're going to be thinking about topography a lot here. And let's start out by number one, we're going to give this some space. So we're going to need to turn this towards the highway, because what I'm thinking now is I'm going to take this and provide another outlet to that highway. So we'll make another connection over here, and you don't necessarily need to take this interchange if you want to go to the cargo hub. And the cargo hub is going to be located off from a local road. The only problem is we're going to need to have another interchange really close to the service interchange, and that's the system interchange, and that's going to be a problem. So lots to think about here. First, let's break this up a little bit. We'll rebuild this. And I think right here is about where we're going to try to make our new interchange. So we're going to need to get from this grade over here diagonally across to here, which is going to be a trick. First, let's get our road guidelines on because I want to line this up square with the highway. There we go. And now we are going to use our plateau tool and try to make a logical path across from this area. So we'll right mouse click up there, start over here, slowly have way too much soil. All right, well, we know that we can move some of this. So we're just gonna fill in a little bit right here. And we've got a lot of extra soil. So I think what we're gonna do is just kind of fill in some back here. So the idea here is that this is a fairly close location. If we wanted to get rid of soil, this is probably one of the easier spots to do it. We've done a lot of work there. That's almost an unreasonable amount. Maybe it is an unreasonable amount. We have taken some liberties, but it's a game, and that's okay. So now we have this connection straight through, which will be really helpful when we go to create our highway interchange. So we're going to do a significant amount of work here. So the very first thing I want to do is lift this highway up over the top of this road here. So it might have made more sense to go underneath, but we have some soil issues right now that we're contending with. So let's let's not get too carried away worrying about exactly how much bridging we have right now. I have some nice parallel bridges that I've created. I went up 2 tiles for the first one and another notch above. Now I'm hoping that I can upgrade this. If I can't, I don't want to get too far into this. Yeah, I'm fine there. So that is exactly what I was hoping for. And then what I think we're going to do is try to get this back down. I would almost like to use some of that soil to backfill right here. Yeah, I'm going to do that. So we're going to take these back. We added this last time. We're going to call the mulligan on it. And what we're going to do is use some of the soil that we have been struggling with and try to raise up the highway and get it to be a ground level highway even though it's elevated. So I think we went about a couple meters up. So let's see if this is a good height. I need to go a little bit higher. Yeah, I think that's probably about where we want to be. Now let's see if we can go back to ground level here. Look at that. Back at ground level. So that is what we want. Unfortunately, we're not at ground level over here. So we're going to back this up just a minute. Or just a bit rather, not a minute. We'll get these over here. Now I think our game plan is going to be actually... we'll try to get all of this to be at the same level. And this will make our ramps better when we get to those. Okay, so I think I've got those even now. So now we're just going to want to get over this road with a bridge. Okay, so we had to have one pillar there, and that was a way to accomplish this. If we wanted to make that look a little, I guess, more symmetrical, we'd do that as well. You know what? All of that was for nothing because it didn't do anything. Well, good enough. We'll just be okay with how it looks. Maybe we can't. No, we can't. I'm gonna let perfect be the enemy of good here. No, I'm just gonna be okay with the way it looks because I could spend all day fiddling with this, and I know in the comments I'm gonna see if you just had move it. You know what? You're right, but there's a lot of people who don't have move it, so we're doing this for them. Now that said, I've created some really weird stuff over here now, so that's not gonna work. Okay, so the main thing I was trying to accomplish there was to basically get this to have a slight ramp off the bridge. There we go. Now we at least have it lining up again, and I know that this is going to work really well. So now what I want to do is create a nice slope down. Wow, is that high? Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, that's not good. That's not going to work. All of that work, only to find out that it's no good. So I think we can salvage this. We'll plateau tool this, and hopefully this will give us what we're looking for. We're going to be using this plateau tool a lot here, so I think we'll be all right. Interestingly, now we're too low. Go figure. Okay, so now we're in a good spot. And that's what we're looking for. We want that to be ground level right there. Now we're going to use our... keep going to my money, which we're just burning through. And we will come into here. Use our plateau tool, set it up here. Drag up. Set it again. Drag up once more. And now, hopefully, we'll be able to make some really nice angles in here. Turn off our road guidelines. Oh yeah, that's the stuff right there. That's the ticket. Let's do it again over here. I don't think this one's quite as good as the other side, but it's pretty darn good. And once we smooth this all out a little bit, I think it's going to look really nice. But honestly, this isn't even about looks. This is about functionality and the expense of pushing dirt around versus bridging. I can't do it. We will see how the game takes that. Hopefully. All right. Let's smooth out these grades a little bit. There we go. Nice and smooth. Now let's get across this highway, or get this highway across over here. That is ugly. It looks like we're going up a little bit here for some reason. Maybe the solution is just to bring these bridges and make them a little bit longer. Yeah, I don't love it, but I don't hate it. We will deal with this. And let's slope down here so we can make our highway connection again. Might need to back this up just a bit. And for this one, I think we're going to have a very basic interchange, nothing all that fancy. So let's look at where we want our merging lanes to begin. So maybe right about here. Now this is going to be a little bit trickier. We'll turn on our topography so we can remember exactly where our ramp should start. We're going to meet our ramps at approximately 90, or as best we can. There we go. So we could end this, just kind of leave it like this. I think that's what we're going to do for the time being. And we'll upgrade our ramps. We've got a very strange little bump here that I don't like. We're going to try to fix that if we can. Yeah, it looks like it's possible. There we go. Much better. And the very last thing I want to do is, we have this big bridge structure. Might as well not have dirt underneath it. We will plateau down just to smooth it out a little bit. And then we will feather on the side. Not perfect, but pretty darn good. So we've got all of these intersection junctions that are there now. Let's just stop people when they're coming off the ramp. And the other thing I want to do here is let's give some turn lanes. Maybe it's not super necessary here, but now we can dual load this if we want to. So it might give some benefit. So I think from that standpoint, we're in a good spot. Now the question is, where do we place our rail infrastructure? Because that was kind of the issue that we were having earlier. So what I think we're going to do is try to back it off from here. So let's look at our topography. You see we've got some things going on here, but for the most part, it's a fairly level pad. So I think that this is going to be a fairly simple leveling operation. And what we're going to do here, we're going to, again, keep our topography on. We're going to have one-way road coming up here. Maybe I'm over-engineering this. I don't know. We are going to find out together. Okay, so basically what I was doing here was trying to figure out the ideal angle that I could merge this up with, and I wanted to follow the road as closely as I could. So I've given enough space now to kind of back this up a little bit. I don't really need this much space back here. I could have probably gotten that closer to the road, but I want lots of queuing distance. And now we're going to put this right in the center here. So now we're going to need to do some significant grading work here. So first of all, let's level this. And there's going to be one weird lumpy here. Might deviate just a bit. We'll move this back and eliminate that bumpy as best we can. There, I think that's about the spot. Very good. Now, one of the things that's interesting to me about this is how well it lines up with this ramp. Maybe there's a way that we can get this underneath and then fix our all of the work that we've done over here. The very first thing I'm doing is adding a parallel track to this so that we can get around this if we don't need to go there. And we're going to prioritize that track for our movements, because that would be the primary movement, not going to the cargo hub, but going around it. So I think what we're going to do is look and see if there are places where maybe we could get this underneath. And that might actually be just tunneling for a minute. Let's smooth this out before we do our tunneling. The last thing we want to do is create a weird wonky tunnel and need to fix that. Now I'm pulling this as far as I can without it getting obstructed. And then I'll pull out another 10 or so tiles. Actually, let's line this up right away. And then I'm just creating that space so we have enough room to get to where we need to go. So now we have all of these bridge structures that we no longer need, or they aren't going to work for us appropriately anymore. So we're going to need to redo some of this. That's okay. And again, we're going to prioritize this movement and worry about this one first. So I think we also need to think about this track that we have over here that's kind of just a hanging chat or something. That's just out here doing its thing. It's a little Bush v. Gore. We're going way too high up there, and that's why we are struggling. Really just want to get this up a little bit. And then I just want to get this over the road. There we go. I always get these dimples here, and I don't know if it's just me. I hate them, but even when I try my best, there's just nothing I can do about that. So we've got that there now. So we know that this is one of our merge points. And the other one's going to be this bridge over here, and we will continue to maintain that bridge. And then we'll take that down. And that's just for visual continuity. There's really no need for that. It just feels good to me. I'm going to back this up a little bit because we're going to have our merge point, and I don't want to get these too close. These still are going to be kind of tight. This one's probably not good enough, but I want to leave at least the train length there. It's still a challenging location. And then let's smooth out our grades here. I do want to improve the aesthetic here. We're going to just bring it up a little bit, and at the edge, feather a little bit. Try not to let the game do its thing. And then we have a spot over here now where we've created some pretty ugly stuff. So we're going to do the same thing over here. Just bring it up and then feather at the side. It almost feels like if I brought this over a little bit, this wouldn't have so much bridging, but we're gonna leave it and hope for the best. Lastly, we need our water pipes to go underneath our road. So we are crossing a lot of track. I think ideally we would pull that back here. Why don't we just make it ideally? We'll bring that back here. And now we're crossing, well, 2 ramps, which stinks. There might actually be some really weird stuff that would happen here to make this work. So you'd see it going and kind of doubling back around, but that's okay. All right, I'm nervous. Let's see how this works. So one of the other problems we have here is speed differential. So we have the highway. So let's say that's 65 miles per hour ramp. That's 45. Now we go back to 65 and then we get to maybe 35. So this is really dangerous, that speed differential, but it's what we're doing, unfortunately. I'm wondering if we lower this down to a local road. My only apprehension here is now we're going to get pedestrians, but we'll slow it down, which will increase capacity and hopefully improve things here. Although we really need 3 lanes right here to be able to make that. Yeah, we're not going to be able to do that. So it kind of stinks. But look at all that traffic. It's gone. Look at that. We're in a good spot, except for this. There's a lot of things going on here, and I've been thinking a lot about this. So I think that we might have wanted to restrict access through the farm when we created this new interchange here. So that's precisely what I'm going to do. So I'm going to use this road guideline here, draw a road, cut that off. I might even, obviously you wouldn't often see roads going backwards. I'm doing this mainly for the sake of the game. So the other thing is we have this highway kind of circling behind this neighborhood. And I don't think that that is the best movement. We might use a little bit of eminent domain to get this to go to the neighborhood and link those neighborhoods together. And now we don't have this farm road doing regional road things. And now we can take this back again and make this just a farm road. So this is going to be a whole heck of a lot less desirable for regional traffic to be using. So we do have this road here that right now is clearly at capacity. We have 2-lane collectors here, 4-lane collector here, 4-lane collector here. Let's see where everyone's going. You can see there's a lot of people trying to get through the park, interestingly enough. They're using this for regional trips. There's also a number of people going this way. A lot of heavy movements through here, but it looks like the primary movement is trying to get to Kellerhouse. So that said, when we look at our roads, we are going to have people taking left-hand turns, kind of blocking this all up. So this could technically turn into a collector, or an arterial rather. So we might just do that. There are no local roads going into it now. My only point of apprehension is coming into this roundabout. I really don't want 3 lanes right here. We're going to see how this works. Unfortunately, it looks like it broke my bridge. Shoot. So let's take one more look at this and we'll see if this disperses the traffic or if they're going to do silly things like try to merge in the middle here. We also have a great deal of traffic here. I think we might upgrade this to a 4-lane collector at least through the industrial district. Now we have dual left-hand turns with that through movement. And lots of cars also trying to make that left-hand turn. You can see that that's a pretty heavy movement there, so we're going to upgrade this one as well. Maybe back to about here. Now, unfortunately, this is having an impact on our zoning over here, which bums me out. Okay, and you see a little bit less wonkiness here. Some still. But it's certainly getting better. This is just a really challenging interchange because you got a lot of freight traffic all trying to make it through here at once. And apparently really impatient people who are just unwilling to let people wait, or let people get through the intersection. That said, I think we're in a better spot. Let's look at our traffic. 81, we've got some things happening here. It's unfortunate. We also have these one-ways that are really not necessary anymore. Why don't we eliminate those and see if that also helps? So I think this is going to be an improvement because those one-ways are kind of funneling traffic. Also going to make that industry road, might as well. So the other thing I'm noticing is pretty heavy traffic on this junction right here. And what that tells me is that it probably warrants a signalized intersection. Okay, so we'll see what happens here, but I feel more comfortable with this. Let's see our rail traffic here. Wow, no backups. It was that simple, huh? I don't believe it. Oh, no, just didn't go far enough down. So we've got more rail things happening here. And one of the things I was thinking about is it would be really nice to have this track come down here instead of this loopy thing. So we'll add this, and then we'll loop back around, go straight forward, and then drop underground. And then what I'm thinking is we'll meet up over here, but I need these to be parallel. So we have a nice connection. So we will collect some soil. And then from here, we'll make our connection. So this is going to provide a direct path for these vehicles to get all the way to the airport should they want to do that. So now there's no more looping. There's no turnaround for those vehicles, so that's a movement that would be missing. But that's gonna have to be okay. Alright, so I'm okay with this now, so you could come here. You'd have to go through these cargo stations to get to the airport, but that's not the end of the world. Next thing I'm thinking about is that if you are going to either the harbor or the airport, you're taking the same bridge, and if that bridge backs up for one mode, you're backing up for both. So why don't we have two bridges? We'll keep this traffic entirely separate, independent of one another, for as long as we can. So now we're going to need two movements here. One to get this way, out of town. Oh, that is brutal. That is terrible. So we'll need to make a couple adjustments here. I wish that wasn't going up like that. I probably should have done some grading here first. We didn't respect the topography, and look at the results. We have lumpies and bumpies and nastiness for days. But I think we're going to live with it. But we will learn from our mistakes, and when we have this parallel track over here, we're going to try our best to mirror what's going on. And basically, what we're going to do is create a side track over here. Let's get this a little bit lower. And then we're going to come through and try to get this to line up very nicely, or at least somewhat nicely. And we've clearly learned nothing. But at least now, this is a very complicated junction, but it's not going to back up the airport when we are backing up at our cargo hub, our cargo harbor over here. So that'll keep things moving a little bit better. I think. That's the goal anyway. So we've got to wait for some of this stuff to clear out. And that might just be something that we need to keep an eye on. I think that this should make a significant difference, though. You can see that the airport's kind of in a good spot right now. I think the unfortunate thing that we have right now is when you're coming from the airport, you are forced to go through these harbors, or through these cargo train terminals, which is not ideal. So a while back, I had the idea of crossing over here and underneath, and I think that was probably necessary. So even though I said, oh, it's just too hard, we'll skip it. We might not have that freedom to be able to do that. Although it does appear to be cleaning up now. But that movement, we're forcing everyone through here, and they don't have any options. And you see these trains are just disappearing now, because they can't get back the other way. It stinks. So I just continue to add complexity to this rail network. It's so important and critical in this area, though, that it's difficult to not do so. So we are going to add that other movement through here. So I really wanted these to line up nicely, and they're not going to, which is going to bug me, but I'm going to have to get over my my issues with it, because I think it's totally necessary that we have this movement here. And then what we're going to do is bring this down just a bit and then merge in. And now these trains have the ability to sneak through here and go out. Now what I'd love to do is we have this passenger rail that we're running through the center of here, but we have all this tunneling, and we have tunnels. I think we're going to just double down on them. So we'll pause this for a moment. And it looks like this didn't stick for whatever reason. So we will make this one work as well. Okay, so now what I've done, no. Now what I've tried to do, and haven't completed yet, is created a kind of a pass-through for the trains. So now they don't have to go through these terminals if they're just trying to get through from the airport. But if they want to go to the terminals, they don't have to switch the side of the track that they're on. Okay, so I think this is a much better configuration. It's going to work better for us and hopefully relieve some of this traffic, because now you can make all the movements that you actually need to make in this area. Let's do a little bit of finishing. Okay, so now we've got a lot of traffic at this terminal, probably because it's working better. So that might be a thing to think about in the future. You see that really traffic's only going in one direction, so that might be another thing to consider. We could have this, because we do have one-ways here, I believe. Yeah, so we could have one-ways going in the opposite direction here. Okay, so now this makes a little bit more logical sense. Now I don't know who's gonna pass through here. Probably not many folks, but we've at least given the opportunity to do so now. So I think ideally we would have these people go into this lane and then merge over instead of trying to merge into the incorrect lane, but we're in a slightly better spot, so I'll take it. And interestingly, our traffic flow is down. I think that's how it always works. I think that I'm improving things and things are going in the right direction, and then our traffic goes in the wrong direction. And part of this at this point might just be that our transit network is suffering, but at least our highway's looking good. This has got some movement through here. We're looking good here. These junctions aren't bad. And over here, good traffic flow. So I'm feeling okay about some of the things that are happening now. You see our traffic flow's getting closer to where we'd like to see it. I always use 80 as that threshold that I'd like to hit. Okay, well, we'll have to do some things after we look at our transit network. And I think today, I mentioned that we're going to focus on rail, and there's just a couple of things that we're going to do here. Not really significant stuff. First of all, you can see that for our passenger network, ooh, this is bad. This is really bad. So I think what we're going to do is try to fix this jam right here, because we have some of our passenger lines gumming up our cargo network. Okay, so what I've trying to do here is give enough space so that there's plenty of room for these merging movements to occur. And it's certainly it's a tricky thing. But the last thing, we've spent all this time separating our passenger traffic and our rail, or our cargo rail. The last thing I want to do is have some negative externalities from our passenger network impacting our newly perfect rail network. I won't say perfect, it's improved. I'm not a perfect rail planner. I'm not even a good rail planner. So I think every time that I'm building these things, I have Zardas's voice in my head saying, we want to have nice sweeping movements here. Talking about how lumpy and the grades of all of these junctions, because I know that I often do a really poor job of getting those grades right. Let's see if this improves things. That is really steep. You see them, looks like they're just going into the pits of the earth to make this happen. So the other thing is, this is just a really ugly turn right there. Truthfully, this shouldn't be like this. We have another issue here that we could resolve by improving this. If we just moved it down or somewhere, because this is, I mean, you see the traffic just backing up here. It's really, really ugly. But I think that's a slight improvement. You see cargo trains just flying through here now. So that's good. All right, so I do want to make a couple of changes here. So we have a cargo going on our passenger network. Interesting. How are they getting through here? That must be a through movement all the way through the town on our passenger network. That stinks, but it's fine. We will accept it. Still significant airport backups, but it's backing up right here. Is it backing up the other way? No. So this I can deal with. We have that queuing distance for a reason. And you see it's not backing up to our junction, so we're fine. 80%, there we go. So that is my queue. So I want to end this episode by having a couple of our new airport assets worked into the build. So we have some of these really neat assets that came with the most recent creator pack. So we've got some metro platforms sunk in. But I want to look at our train stations, because I think that some of these are really, really ideal for this location. So, or could be ideal, I should say. We're going to do something unrealistic. Because I'm unfamiliar with these assets, we're just going to build a road here. And let's just place some of these things. And let's see which of these will work for us. This one's neat, but it's not neat here necessarily. It could be though. This one looks like it would work fairly well here. It's just that everything is elevated that I've pulled so far, and that's not exactly what we're looking for. Ooh, interesting. This one goes over a road. I like that. As does this one. So we know those aren't right. And then we have some of these other ones that go underneath roads. Again, probably not right for this location, but it could really be helpful in the future. And then this could be a nice downtown station. So I think what we're going to use is probably this station a couple of different times. Could use this one as well, but this would be for a station that has much more traffic. It's got that dual platform there, and it looks like it's good for if we had two different routes. So let's take a break on this station. Just move this over here. We'll have to use a little bit of eminent domain, but everyone is happy. This is a great train station, so why not be thrilled with the result? Need to do a bit of grading to make this work, which means that we'll need to do even more eminent domain, but we can get rid of this track, so that might help some. So this is going to help us in a couple of different ways. First, this new station has passing right in, so that means that we're much more space efficient here. So I like that. And it keeps our tracks really straight, because we have some weaving that has occurred because of kind of our situation. Okay, so I think that we used, ooh, that is ugly. And that's what happens when you don't step down at a logical number. And that's much better. We just want to change this because I think we were using that new high-speed rail asset, or bridge rather, high-speed viaduct. Distance too sharp. Weird. Distance too short. Come on. And now we're bumpy again. That is lovely. There we go. It's a little bit lumpy, but it's manageable lumpy. So let's get rid of this station madness that we have over here. Everyone's sad about this. Who wouldn't want about a half dozen train stations that you could choose your own adventure? So now we want to get that stop in this new station. It might just kind of automatically put itself in the right spot. There we go. We'll move it. We're good. So I think that this allows intercity trains, and I'm completely okay with that because we have that bypassing ability here. And I love that it has parking right there and some landscaping. Landscaping that I would assume is not flammable. Perfect. What a beautiful train station. Really fits in nicely, that center passing track. People can walk up here and get to the other side. It's got that clock there. What a beautiful asset. What a beautiful asset, and what a great creators pack. I would highly recommend, if you haven't picked this one up, to do so. It is very, 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 very beautiful. So I think the nice thing about this asset is if we wanted to add another train station, I think we could get away with it down here now. The problem is we'd have to use a significant amount of eminent domain on high-rise buildings, and you can imagine the amount of money it would take to level even just a couple of these buildings. These are almost the most expensive these buildings could be. This right here would be. We have 19 households. That's expensive. It'd be nice to be able to incorporate a train station in over here. If we're going to do it, this is probably the location, and I think I might do it. Man, let's add one more in over here. It'll really serve the Indy Club District really well. And I think we're going to go for the exact same train station. Oh, we've got a problem. We've got our cemetery over here that's full. And it's really in the way at this point. Because I don't want to destroy this pedestrian crossing over here. And, you know, the cemetery isn't necessarily the most efficient land use, so we might just let this empty and then put a train station in. We thank you for the space. It's been real. Either way, no one wants to go and get their laugh on and then be reminded of their impending demise. They'd rather take a train home. While this is emptying, it's actually going fairly quickly. Why don't we... Let me think. First of all, we've got this. So I think I'm wondering, is this what they're doing? They're digging bodies up and then freezing them. So I don't think that's how it's supposed to work, but I guess whatever suits you. Let's convert a couple more of these. So we have this situation over here. This is a mess, truthfully. At this point, it'd really be nice to have some roadway connectivity through here. We don't have that. What we have is a really disjointed area where we're funneling all the traffic into this road. We would really be well served to have another collector through here and really take... What road is this? Ah, we don't have our road names on. So, Strilla Street, yeah. So I'd like to connect this up to Kingsley Street. However, I would need this to become a collector, and that would take a lot of work. Or even 8th Street, that would be another one. We have this bridge here, that might be what I do. And the main purpose for that would be to give another option for this traffic. Connect the east and the west. I might just convert this to a collector right here and then send it over, because that's a long distance, and then we'll eliminate this train station and redo it. It's gonna be a lot of work here, but we're up to it. And this biofuel bus depot can move at this point too. Not overly concerned about it. So this is our bike network, and we're going to need to be aware of that. We are taking a core connection away, and we're going to need to replace it. So this would be a fever dream of a project for a planner. It would be a very difficult one. I know that I have, I've got a couple of these in the hopper that if for some reason a really exceptional grant were ever to become available, that project, I've got it estimated. We're in a spot to do it, but that certainly would take some funding, because this is not a project that you could just throw in your transportation improvement program and hope for the best. So we're going to turn off road guidelines here. We're going to use a little bit of eminent domain on this house. Super realistic. And I just kind of want to raise this up and get this to line up with the old bridge. This wouldn't be the most efficient way of doing this. However, it already exists, and that is going to make it the most efficient way of doing it. We've already used eminent domain in this house, might as well double down. I'd really love to not use it on the next house, but we're going to. And I'm sure that would really not go well for the city. We used eminent domain on some houses for a bike path. And this is actually just a ped connection, so we're going to convert that over. Wonderful. So we are going to need some pedestrian connections across here, but what this is going to do, it's going to do a couple of things. We're going to be able to, I want to come down from here. So we made a connection across, and now I want to make another connection down to Station Road after we place our new station. Oh, and interestingly, because of the width of this, our road might be in a poor spot to handle this. So I talked about our existing bridge. Our existing bridge doesn't matter a ton, is what it seems like, because it's in the way. Well, maybe not. We can slow down here and make our connection through and kind of relocate this track a bit. Okay, so we're in a good spot there. We need to make sure that people can, that bridge, that is trouble now. So I think we actually are going to call a mulligan on the bridge. We need it on the other side of the road. So that's the real problem at this point, is it's on the wrong side of the road. So we've got all this infrastructure in place for our old station, and it just doesn't work in this new location. Now this gets the planner fired. Use eminent domain in a house for a pedestrian path you ultimately don't, or for a bike path you ultimately decide not to use. And now we say, we're really sorry that we did that. That was a mistake. Shouldn't have done it. Doesn't mean the house comes back. And that's why eminent domain doesn't get used all that often in real life. We're going to throw our road guidelines back on. So it's funny. It would seem to make the most sense not to lower this, but I think that even lowering it just a bit would really help on the cost of this. So that's what we're going to do. And the other purpose that this will serve is to get us to the back of this station if we want to do that in the future. I don't think we're going to do that now. I don't think it's totally critical. And I don't know if it's going to help us. We're going to try anyway. See what this does. Okay, so it does make a couple connections there. We've upgraded that to a bike path. Primary thought there is you can walk to it from the other direction if you need to. There you go. So we at least have this now. Let's get this into a more logical location. I'd really love to have a way to get down from up here, because now you have this connection up here that doesn't go anywhere. We also don't have water at our new train station, so we'll need to bring that down. And we have this power line to nowhere. Maybe it's the somewhere. And now this bus route needs to be able to get where it's going to go. I'm kind of curious, where is it going now? So it still works, it's just really circuitous and not good. It's also, rather than stopping inside, see if I wonder if it's possible to, oh, look at that. So we don't even need this turnaround anymore, which was a feature of our last station. And I wonder, since we're mulliganing this a whole bunch, what's one more? There we go. Now this is a proper transit hub. And I know Station Road doesn't have a direct connection anymore, but I'm kind of okay with it. So this could have been a collector. We could have a short collector in between the two of these. We could extend this collector up Main Street to Station Road. Maybe that's the most logical way of handling this. Kind of have a frontage collector. And you see things get kind of wonky when you're retrofitting this stuff in. And there would be lots of headlight issues to contend with here, so I think that we would absolutely want to think about that up front. Ooh, we also have a little segment of bike lane here. Let's make sure that goes somewhere. Ooh, interesting. This new train station does not allow us to upgrade to bike lanes after the fact. Wonder if I pause that for a minute. Wow, that is really bizarre. Now I can't do anything. I made a horrible mistake. Oh, that is a really hard lesson to learn. Yeah, I don't like that lesson at all. Alright, well, now we're going to replace that so that we can at least have our station there. Yeah, that stinks. I am not a fan of that. Something was too tight there and it didn't work as a result. So what are you going to do though? So now we've at least made a bike connection through here so you can get off the bike path here. We'll just connect that up for visual continuity's sake. We could connect that all the way through. Actually, that's a pretty logical connection because this station turns into, is this Gambi? No, Buccaneer. So station turns into Buccaneer. And we could have a nice connection all the way through and connect up these districts. Very bicycle friendly. I like that a lot. So this will probably be a very heavily utilized segment. We're going to want to make sure that we're blocking some of that light that could seep through. So it's funny, the game is calling this Middle Street as kind of the default generated name, and I don't hate it. It is the middle between Station and Main Street. It's a weird little connection that exists because it needs to, provides a lot of east-west connectivity. So we're going to keep it there, but it is certainly an interesting connection to say the least. I'm kind of wondering how much traffic that's carrying, truthfully. Quite a bit. You can see it's actually taking some of this freight traffic out of the Lewis Garden City, right down and taking it into this neighborhood over here. Not improving our traffic flow in the slightest, but providing more options. And as we make these connections connecting east and west, things are going to improve. 81. Got it for a second. Where are we at with this? Ooh, that's some good progress that we made there. We've also been just burning years off of time, so I would expect that to get better. I think we're going to finish off this episode by placing this last train station, but we do need that to be fully emptied first so we can eliminate this cemetery. I do just want to take a look. How's our other station doing? Getting some good utilization there. I'd also wanted to replace this other station in the Lewis Garden City. Well, that right here. But I don't know how entirely necessary that is. This is the end of the line, so having that pass-through track, that pass-through track is probably not all that important. So we might just leave this one. I think it makes sense in this location. This one, though, would be very benefited by having that pass-through, I think. Or it could in the future. If we ever decide to make a connection here to allow intercity trains, which truthfully wouldn't be the worst situation in the world. Because we don't really have all that much traffic right now outside of just kind of the local stuff that we would normally get. That could take it up to the next level. Very interesting. Well, I think that's an interesting not today thing, because that is a more substantial change. I love that we have these buses coming in here, looping around here, and using this as the bus stop. To me, that feels natural. I think I added an extra stop though. I need to fix this. So we need that one. We don't need. Oh, it's doing some things now. What is going on here? Does that fix it? Yeah, that fixes it. So we have it going up into Prospect Heights. Probably not a great movement. So I think we are going to just knowingly modify this a little bit. That's still already a challenging movement. I think that if the lack of a signalized intersection here would be a point of contention of having this bus route turn here. Although it's a right-hand turn, so that's not a big deal. That left would probably be more problematic, but it's still, the traffic flow is not too bad. So this should help. We'll need to get some more bus service in here, but this was really a special purpose route, doing things that it shouldn't be doing. Okay, back to our cemetery. We're close. We're just gonna sit here for a minute and then place our station. Okay, so it took a while, but our cemetery is finally empty. And now 50 Cent, who at this point is probably about 150, is smiling down on us because he knows that his district is going to get a whole lot better. So we've preserved all of those bodies that were in the cemetery. And, now we can move forward. All right, so why don't we eliminate this track? And I think we have dual track here. I don't know that we need that with our new station. So I'd love to line this road up with another road if at all possible. And that's just to minimize the junctions. I don't know how this is gonna, well, yeah, that's terrible. Oh, bummer. So you can see that we have some height challenges, to say the least. Yeah, significant topographic challenges. And the only way that we're gonna overcome those is to do exactly what I didn't want to do, which is modify this bridge. But desperate times. Okay, so we are going to do some grading here to try to make the best slope that we can. So why don't we just take this main height, we'll stretch it out a bit, and we'll use our plateau tool, come over here, start our climb. I think we'll come straight down from here. We'll need to back this up even further to make this work. There we go. So this side is going to be dramatically more interesting. It's going to be a very slow movement through here. And we've got the corner of this building to contend with. So I think ideally we wouldn't have, this would have been further over, but ideally isn't going to work in a retrofit solution. So we're going to have a very sharp angle. That's terrible. That is terrible. I can't do that to the city. All right, we're going to move this over again. At least I'll get my number of intersections reduced, which is what I really wanted. We'll try this one more time. That is steep, but we're trading in steep for more logical on this side. There we go. That's better. Now we will make our connection over here again. Did we keep our fence? We kept our fence. No, we didn't. That's why I need to not talk. There's our fence. And now last but not least, we need to make this bike connection across. That is going to be significantly more challenging than it was, because now we're contending with multiple layers of complexity. I'm wondering now, maybe we just change the purpose of this. Now we have a nice connection into the train station from there. We would still need some other connection to get across, because that is a very heavily utilized bridge. Ugh. Part of that train project might be eminent domaining this as well. Coming up with another solution to get across, because this is not, it's not ideal to get rid of this. Maybe it's having some funky dual bridge. Yeah, I can't say that I'm in love with this. This is a bad solution. So, let's go back to the drawing boards on that. And that is wonky and silly, and I don't love it. So we would almost need to double this back around to make the grading work. Yeah, I think I might just change the purpose of this one for the time being and give this some more thought. I think that sometimes you can get in your own head and end up with a poor solution. This is the most obvious solution right now. And we'll need a new crossing at some point in the near future. Let's see what this does. It's probably going to stop a lot of that traffic. And then we're going to need to establish a stop here. Oh, that is a problem. So you can't actually get to downtown now from this stop. In fact, all you can do is leave town. So that's a bummer. So we would actually need some sort of connection. Oh, there is a downtown connection. It's just going to be very direct. We'll give it a new boarding platform. And I think we might actually run out to here as well. And both of those are going to load from the other side. Not ideal, but it works. We should probably name those. For the time being, we're going to leave it. We'll do a lot of that naming at the end. I also would like these to be on the opposite side so they're not crossing. It's not going to let me do that. Yeah, they've picked those sides. They're going with it. Fine. So lastly, I'd want to, these cliffs bug the heck out of me. So let's try to smooth this a little bit. I think it's going to be a real challenge. And because of that challenge, we're going to need some fencing to prevent people from falling off the side of the earth. Interestingly, even though I have none of my snap twos on, I'm still snapping. Why? I have none of my snapping on, and it's still doing that. That's really, really frustrating. The only solution I could think of to this would be to take our paths and maybe upgrade them temporarily. It's not going to let me do that either. Okay, so we'll do that. I don't think this will snap to this one. It will. Shoot. Okay, well, we can landscape to fix this. Yeah, that looks much better with this, even though it doesn't make any sense. So since we're going with not making any sense, I think we might just make this a pedestrian path. Except that that's a bike route. Oh, this is just, all of this is bad. All of this is terrible. Okay, I need to just get out of my own head. We will get rid of this. We'll add some landscaping and call it a day. Okay, I like that a little bit more now. I don't love these imperfections. I just wish that there was something more that I could do to make it look a little bit nicer. And I guess the grass is probably as best as I can do. But it does look better. It at least looks lush. We are seeing a lot of passenger traffic here. Lots of people parking their cars. Everyone wants to go to the Into Club district. And it's a good thing. The other thing that this indirectly does is provide some service to the university. Kind of curious, where are people going here? Yep. University, downtown, a little bit of everywhere. We've got people coming from all over to get here, so that's neat. That is a good connection. That is a valuable connection. So And what the ultimate result of it is going to be is more train traffic. So I do want to keep an eye on this. It seems like we're actually dropping our total resident traffic. Our tourism traffic is going through the roof. But I think we were around 4,500 for our residents before. And as we reconfigure transit, I want to keep an eye on that number. But for the time being, I think that we're going to leave it here. I'm happy with what we've done. We've accomplished a lot today. Let's just take one more peek back at our rail network to make sure things are working. That backup here, it's manageable. The backup here, it's manageable. Our traffic, 80, it's where we want to be. These connections, they're working. Over here looking good. Our backup over on River Street, how's that looking? Not too bad. We still can make some improvements here. This is a really sharp turn, but at least we're not backing up anymore. We are still very much backed up over here. Although I can't tell if this is just kind of residual backup that's finally starting to clear out, because you see some movement here. We've got backup way back here. Where's all this traffic going, getting stuck? Oh, this weaving monster that I created over here. Oh, it's getting better because I clicked away. Yeah, this is a monster. It's not working very well, and I'm going to need to give some thought as to how to improve that. Our biggest problem is that there's no turnaround. So if you are here, you have to wait for this to clear out to leave, and that's a problem. Gonna have to give that one some thought. But as I look at it, it looks like it's clearing up. This weaving monster here is also a problem. Maybe one last improvement while we're still here. What if we back this up just a little bit further? I don't know that really much improves anything at all. Because ultimately we're backing up way outside of the city coming in. So we've got a lot of things going on. And the way to fix it is probably to add complexity, which I'm sure everyone's excited about. And I think that I'm going to probably steer clear of the cargo stuff for a little while. I really want to do the rest of the transit stuff. And as much as I enjoy this, some of this might be unavoidable without some significant work due to how import heavy the city is. And that's a decision that we've made. We could certainly try to improve that. Also, not sure how successful this was. Seems, first of all, maybe directionality is a thing here. One last improvement. So I don't think this helps with the logic necessarily, but I'm hoping it'll do enough to kind of clear out some of this traffic. I think I might have made a bit of a mistake here. And at this point I'm trying to compensate for that mistake. Hopefully we can clear some stuff out. We've got some problems. We've got some significant rail problems. Again, if you have any ideas for this, I'm all ears. I want to hear what you have to say. But I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, please hit the like button. If you aren't subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. I want to give a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters. They help me make all of this content, help me upgrade my equipment, and make sure that things are running smoothly. You can see their names here. And I want to thank you. Join me for a brief city tour, which we will start now.